release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Let's rock!
Welcome back to the Resupply with me, guy next door.
Me, DK.
And me, Fan?
Bring you your semi-regularly scheduled double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. Welcome in, Raiders. How about that? Opening credits.
Shit,
raid.
we're being raided.
Damn it, not again. They broke my good china last time. Sons of bitches.
Please don't take my stuff.
Yeah. Nice to see you guys. It's nice to see you all coming over from the Blue Sin channel. I hope you enjoyed this morning's festivities, I want to say. It's probably the wrong. Oh, look at that. Lights. Thank you.
Look at that.
Histrof Dave. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Getting that Bezos bucks.
Get that big old 1 month streak in there. I really forgot again.
Yeah, well done.
Good job.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, this morning we were hanging out with Blue Sin, watching video games. Was mostly cool, some average, some pretty cool, and then mostly okay. So it was a good morning. I don't know if it was worth getting up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning for or whatever it was. Yuck.
Many things are not.
Yeah, that's right. How you boys doing? It's nice to see you.
Good to see you too. I mean, I'm better now that I'm mostly over the pneumonia that I had.
It just says that as the phlegm rattles around in your throat.
Yeah, it was. So it, like the last show we did two weeks ago, when I was going on and off mute, coughing and not coughing and whatnot, and yeah, went to the urgent care Saturday because and it's never a positive when you go in and you're doing the things and they're like, we're
Sometimes
gonna get
it's
you
positive.
well, when they say we're gonna get you a chest X-ray, it's like, well, that pretty much only means one thing.
Yeah.
And
Cartoon like birdcage. Is
Pretty
what
much.
that means. Yeah.
Yeah, so got the chest X-ray, and they're like, "Yep, you have pneumonia. That's cool." They call in the prescriptions, and initially it was one antibiotic. By the time I got there to pick up the prescriptions, the pharmacy's like, "Oh, they gave you 2 antibiotics," and I'm like, "Oh, that's fucking great." So basically, yeah, took my first dose at like 1:30 on the Saturday, and basically lost my long weekend entirely.
So was it like in that one demon possession movie where they do the MRI and you see like the little face in there? Was it like that? Or just like a little pneumonia guy just being like, I'm gonna fuck your shit up.
I mean, pretty much.
Shoot up.
Pretty much, yeah.
Want me to stab him?
Basically spent like 36 of the next 48 hours just passed the fuck out. But hooray for modern medicine, and also hooray for not having antibiotic resistant pneumonia, because that would have sucked.
See, Russ,
yeah.
why wouldn't you want to pay for this kind of content? That's the question I have for you. Dolly.
I hate to tell you, Steve. It's spelled EU, not UE for pneumonia.
Oh shit! What was it? What is it? EU?
Yeah. You got some stuff backwards there.
There we go. Dolly, thank you for 41 months. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Much better
so much.
than me. Good job, Dolly.
We got an incoming hype train. Yeah. There you go, Russ. Get on board. There we go, Russ. There we go. Oh, you've got a Prime sub. Brilliant. Thank you, bro. Appreciate your Bezos bucks.
We're very worthy of the effort it took to press like 3 buttons.
I don't know if I want to give it to you guys though. Yuck. Well, we're just about at level 1 hype train, so thank you guys for your subscriptions. You're bloody champions. That sucks, bro. I'm glad it wasn't COVID, but it sounds like it was a shit time anyway.
Yeah, well, and it was and very, I did test for COVID, and that was a straight up, as negative as a test can be for COVID, which was very nice because, having those two things in combination, that's what kills people, and dying's not really high on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a fun time. Dolly, what course did he play? Was it Bald Hill? Because hell yeah, good shit. Although I'm pretty sure I got like +2 on my first time there, so whatever. Must be Suns out, guns out.
Yes, you can tell the relative transition of the season in either hemisphere based on the migrating wardrobe of our various hosts.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that I'm catching some of your arm glare over this side of the world. So maybe I don't know. Maybe for the good of everyone,
you can see exactly where the cutoff for the bike sleeves goes right there.
Yeah. Wait till you start playing disc golf, which will happen. Don't fight it. Because then when you look at your tan lines, it looks like a sunrise or sunset, depending on how you look at it. It's awesome to get roll for damage for those guns. I wanted to ask you, David, did I send you that wrestling tabletop link? I can't remember what it was called.
I think you talked about it, but I don't remember you actually sending it.
All right, I need to
say, hey, were you in wrestling? And I was like, oh yeah, like 20 years ago.
this dude, it's so cool. It's like D&D meets wrestling. How can you? What a combination.
That's a pretty big crossover anyway. I mean,
exactly.
Wrestling is basically just D&D, but everybody's playing a barbarian.
Those arms are making you want to defrost some chicken breast for dinner for some reason. Brilliant.
Well, funny you mention that because it's like getting into training season, of course, and despite the promise that I made to my aging body last year that if we could get through Nat successfully, I wouldn't make it run anymore. We've had to kick that into gear because the last time that I played in Loveland, I was not happy with my speed nor my stamina. So I'm like, we're going to have to ramp this up. And I've been trying to do a little bit more running than I probably have done in some previous years because I think, other than maybe Brisbane, but I think there's a layer that adds to it more. I think there is probably no maze that is more difficult to train for from a physical training perspective than Loveland. I mean, not necessarily like the intensity of learning the field or the things that you do in laser tag, but just actual like longevity, making sure you're not huffing and puffing into the game. Because not only is it a ton of ramps, it's also at altitude. So you have that whole acclimation part and just trying to maintain that kind of pace for 3-4 days. When you get to a 5-day tournament, there's a lot to do. But
yeah. I was starting to feel pretty good about where I was fitness wise for the lead up ramp, and then with the pneumonia, I am like, oh, this is terrible. Like I finally got back out for a light jog, like on Tuesday and Thursday this week, and my original plan going out on Tuesday was like, okay, I'll go for a light jog on Tuesday, and then I've got soccer games on Thursday, and I'll just step one into the other. And I got done with the light jog on Tuesday and went, there is no fucking way I can play soccer on Thursday. it was like, oh, this was 2.1 miles / a little over 3Ks for those of you not in America. And I got to the end of it and I was just like, I have like no sprint capacity whatsoever. Soccer is a terrible idea.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see how the ramp into things goes with the recovery. Yeah.
Well, it was absolutely hot. It was absolutely hot as balls the last couple of days in Sacramento. We got our first set of triple-digit temperatures for the season. So that's right around like 37 Celsius, somewhere around there, 36, 37.
That's
something like that.
It's too hot, bro. It's too hot.
I mean, it's It's pretty hot, but it finally cooled down a bit last night. So this morning I decided to go for a run, start getting into the habit. Like I've been trying to run this one route that I take that's probably like 5 or 6K, something like that, and just like improving my time as much as I can. But I did the stupidest thing you can do today is that when I was about halfway through on my return run, I'm like, you know what, my foot's feeling a little funny. Like the arch of my foot kind of hurts. Like, this isn't great. I should probably slow down. But then I was like, no, it's okay. Just finish the run. You can rest it the rest of the day. You'll be fine. Just get through the run. Just get through the run. But then it starts progressively hurting like more and more. And it was like fucking killing me after my shower. So I clearly have like, it's probably just a mild case of tendonitis or something like that. But that's going to probably preclude me from running and maybe biking the next couple of days because that's still pressure on my foot. So it just getting stubborn and doing that kind of stuff is not smart. And I was just like thinking about like the mental exercises going through of being like, just gut it out. And I'm thinking of all like the toxic masculine bullshit that I had to absorb growing up. Like was it gutted out like one of the worst lessons that I got from like gym and PE class growing up? Because it's like, no, this is fucking mean. Don't gut it out. Don't hurt yourself more. Like if something hurts on you, pay attention to that and don't do it. It's one thing if it's like the final game of Nats or something. You're like, oh, my ankle's a little funny, but I have to get through this for my team. But it's just a stupid training run. Like, don't derail your progress because it was like just gotta get it out. Come on, man. You can just rest the rest of the day. You gotta get that time down. Just dumb. Don't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was. I was actually like very proud of myself for not playing soccer on Thursday because I love playing soccer. Like that is my exercise of choice. Like if I, it just is. And so, actually making the decision to not play was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna murder myself trying to do a thing. We're just gonna try to ease back into it and not die. Yeah,
it's a good place to be. Hey, real quick, Kodama, thank you so much for the sub. You put us over the top. We're level 2 hype train. And also 47 months, dude. That's a long ass time. I've been trying to figure out in the background what the heck's going on with stuff. There's dumb lighting stuff happening in the background, just a wee peek behind the stupid buggy curtains. Yeah.
That's right, Kodama. Make sure that you always shoot yourself with low caliber bullets. You can slowly build up your immunity to greater caliber bullets.
Cheers.
That's how the pros do it.
I don't know, to go back to what you were saying before, like I think that's partially how I have continued having these back issues, because instead of kind of dialing back, it was just play through the pain. And now I'm regretting I haven't played Laser Force for a few months, which sucks because we have Laser Force happening here. And
yes, you do.
Yeah, whenever you don't get to play, it's bullshit. But real quick, I wanted to show off this, but first things first, cheers. I want to show this the Nats logo for 2024 got sent through. So ladies and gentlemen, Laser Force Internationals 2024 in Loveland, Colorado this year. Marco once again has done an excellent job. I can't remember if we have a shortcut for him. I don't think I set it up actually. No, I didn't.
Not yet.
I'll set one up. But Marco streams on apparently I'm a raider to the channel. Marco streams over on Twitch as
Good
well.
job.
I can't remember the name of his channel, but I'll find it and put it in chat. But go give him a follow if you can. Think Adventure is his channel. This one, right?
I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
I was like, is it some variation on Beautiful?
No.
Nope.
But yeah, go check him out. Give him a follow. He does great work. But once again, I think he's nailed it this year. I like the colors. I like the purple and the orange. Kind of almost Broncos colors, which as a Patriots fan, not overly fond of, but yeah,
Might be intentional.
maybe.
Given the region of the country.
Exactly right.
Funny how that works. And I love the fact that at this point, if you basically like stack the logos, I think from like 2017 on, like they're just you can see the design language in them. Like they're all very
Sick of
similar
them.
design language.
Yeah.
But they're also all unique to the event, and it's just Marco is just so goddamn talented at what he does and just constantly delivers just super high quality stuff. So
I think
yeah, that's really cool.
so I watched the stream where he was actually making this logo because he made it on stream, which was really cool. But it was cool to watch his design process because I'm not an artist. I'm definitely not a graphic artist, but I do a lot of design work and stuff for my day to day. And it's nice to see that people that have talent go through similar processes. Basically just throwing stuff on a screen and seeing what sticks, what they like, that that looks cool, we'll keep that, or I don't like that. Just watching the whole process kind of gives like, I don't know. So what the fuck is that sound?
It's
Fucking
nice
robots, man.
when you see that people that know what the fuck they're doing around graphic design, and seeing their process is, okay, let me get everything that is in my head out of my head, let me get it on paper, in quotes, on paper, on screen, whatever, and let me just see what's there, and watching them not
You should too.
not kill any ideas before they've had a chance to at least get them in a visual medium,
and not even like kill them, like just put them down and maybe like repurpose them for something else later, or like stuff like it's awesome to see that happens with people who are good at the craft in the same way, because it like makes you feel less insecure about the stuff that you do personally, if that makes sense. I don't know if you have that when you write music then.
There's a certain amount of like, sometimes you're like, oh, this idea is stupid, so you don't do anything with it, you don't record it to listen back to later, which is really like a mistake in the creative process. Like it doesn't matter how dumb you think an idea is when you start. It's worth recording it in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's visual medium, auditory medium, whatever. It's worth recording it so you can go back to it later and maybe go, oh, actually, there's something there. Or you can go back to it later and go, oh no, that actually was pretty not good, and we don't have to think about it. But it's the whole not self-censoring when you're in the beginning of the creative process, and I think that's a thing that like any artist can say that they probably do too much of, is the self-censoring at the start and not even giving an idea a chance to exist in a form that maybe you can modify later.
It's definitely like a fascinating process, and like I don't know, like it's cool to know that, because whenever you think of somebody who is talented or like is good at what they do, you're just like, oh, that person's naturally good at that. I can never do that kind of thing. But I think like watching that process happen and seeing how similar it is to the stuff that you might do already, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It takes some of the pedestal away, I guess, or like makes it more attainable. Obviously, it helps if you're good, and like that can come either with natural talent or probably more commonly with practice. But yeah, it's cool to know that's the one, imposter syndrome. Boy oh boy, do I get that a lot.
Yes.
Yep. There's also a reason why they say that comparison is the thief of joy, because
I've never heard that. That's cool.
Yeah. Oftentimes it's like, well, I'm not as good as X person, so what am I
Why
doing with
bother?
this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like really, all that you care about in developing a craft, or like I think the mindset that a lot of us are aspiring to is, I just want to improve. I wanted to practice the techniques, and so I can be satisfied with something that I do, and
Mm.
not worry necessarily about being like, you're not going to be the best at everything. You're not going to be the best
What?
person at most things in your life. But, right, can you be satisfied with the things that you do? Did you put good effort into that? Did it serve like some kind of outlet for you? Which is, I think, the big thing with creative endeavors is just the process of creating is the entire point.
Mm.
Like if you don't enjoy the journey, if all you care about is the finished product, like that's gonna burn you out on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's real important, I guess, with creative endeavors especially, and to kind of throw it to with a laser force filter, if you will. Laser force being a game, like, we can strive to want to win at that, because that has a goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess with like creativity, it's hard to win at art or music or
I mean, you
whatever.
win against yourself if you look, and sometimes it takes a while. You need that perspective to be like, here's something I did 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Here's my stuff now. Like,
Mm.
feeling like, okay, things have gotten better, or I'm more comfortable doing some of these things now than I was.
Mm.
And I mean, really, Blaze Force kind of the same way. Ultimately, it was like, even though you're competing against other people, I remember like when I first started, it was some of the things that just the little shiny trinkets that were on the wall. Like, oh yeah, I want to make the top 10 list this week of people who got these scores, and
Mm.
oh, I want to be on that wall with the other people who are in the million point club and got a cool plaque that is hanging on the wall. I want to,
Yeah.
do this or that, and it's like just trying to get into the next stratum, and then worry about what comes after. Because
Yeah.
like when we started, we weren't aware of like how extensive the hobby and the sport are. None of us probably would have predicted. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, this is going to be the next 25 years of my life. I'm going to spend tens of thousands of dollars on this over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had told me 27 years ago that I'd still be doing this now,
Yeah.
I do not think I would have believed you in the slightest. I'd have been like, no,
Yeah.
nah, there's no way.
And I think that's one of the reasons why for us old timers it's so hard to give up. Like, it's so hard to put it on the shelf or put it away and be like, cool, I'm done with that now. What's the next thing? Because we're so heavily invested in the thing, and it's especially hard if you've got nothing to replace it with.
Who's talking about putting anything on a shelf?
I mean, I've got
Get
no
over this foot injury, then I'll be back out there.
I've got no more shelf space, so I can't put anything on my shelves. Any more things on my shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
Russ asking if you still have your million point club plaque. No, Russ, I 100% do not have mine.
I think that's
I know that
a
I
really
saved
cool
mine
thing.
when we were doing demolition. I don't know where it is off the top of my head. It maybe
Some
at
other
my
rubbish
first
pile.
place. Yeah, that one also might not have survived. I've been like, that's cool. It's a nice memory, but it's not the same as like Space Marines trophies and stuff.
Yeah. For now, until later, I don't know. I get attack of the nostalgia quite a bit. It's actually quite a bad affliction that I'm stricken with. But yeah, I don't know. Like, that sort of stuff is really cool. It's the same. I think the same reason why we kept scorecards from like way back in the day. The actual paper scorecards. I've got I'm sure you guys too have some lying around. I got a stack in my cupboard like that thick, and like
I used to have a lot of scorecards. Like I had a bunch of scorecards, from like original SAC days. I had scorecards from like from 2001 Nats in Brisbane. I had 3 specifically where I was like, oh, I had 3 100% accuracy heavy games out of 4 in literally in a 4-game streak. I had 300% heavy games.
Awesome.
The fact that 2 of them I only took like 40 shots because I died is neither here nor there. The other game I took like 80 plus shots and still was 100%. So
Pretty
cool.
good. That's pretty good.
Too.
But like in amidst moves and everything, I like all of that went away. I've still got a bunch of soft copies of certain scorecards, and I actually a few months ago, and I sent copies of these to DK when Sacramento was originally closing back in 2004. I basically did print screens of all of our top members for like the games played.
Wow.
Yep.
So we'd have that record, and I lost those files for like years. Could not find them. Found them randomly, literally I think like 6 months ago, and was like, okay, DK, I'm putting this in this file, and I'm sending you a copy as well, so that it's in multiple places because. Fuck.
If there's some kind of Laser Force nerd arcana that's out there, there's a chance that at least one of Than or I probably has a copy of it somewhere on some hard drive.
And then if we don't have it, Traj probably has it.
Yeah. I try to catalog like photos from the way back because they started getting lost to time as well, and I know people had like photo bucket accounts, and I tried to get as many of the old photos as I could, but to be fair, that wasn't that many. I wish I got more, but yeah, there's a few on there. People just didn't take photos that much back in the day because you had to get them developed and shit.
Yeah, like the whole thing. Yeah.
It used to be an actual like problem in quotes, like film, develop, do this, do that, and then you'd end up with like that roll of film in your camera that you had like 4 shots left on that you never got around to taking for like ages, and then you'd finally get the stuff developed and like, what the hell were these pictures?
Yeah.
And unless you were that fucking geek who just had the camera like hung around your neck or whatever, if you had to actually carry it with you, you didn't just
were
like,
you that
phone?
geek?
Okay.
You
Done.
were that geek, right?
Nah.
Don't lie.
I mean, maybe on some trips, but not a lot of them.
I've got
like,
photos.
Honestly, even at like recent trips and stuff, like I took a lot of photos when we were out at our excursions when we were in Auckland.
Yeah.
But like the week of the tournament, I have so few. I have I looked at some ones that other people took, and I have some ones that I really like that we just have our team photos and stuff, but just of like random hangouts and stuff in the week. I don't think to do it. And I don't know if that's just because it's like I didn't come up in the era of just having your phone camera.
What takes you out of it a little bit?
The way that,
Like unless it kind of takes you out of the moment a little bit. Like for me, the reason why I started making these videos is because I think it's a better way to capture those memories. And a more palatable way to relive them for people. Otherwise, you're like, hey, do you guys want to check out my cool like slideshow of everyone doing that? But I don't know. I kind of the only thing is I wish I'd started doing them sooner. But again, technology and yada yada yada.
I'll always enjoy the video of me in a washing machine. Oh no, wait, that was a Zorb.
Dude, I watched that. I watched that again last week. In its entirety, and it's so good. Like it makes me again tackle the nostalgia. Just and
that's
it's not
how
even
I know
nostalgic.
You're not a litigious culture in New Zealand, because that should not be allowed. I tell you what.
There's far too many nipples to be to be enjoyed by the masses. It's a good video though, very good video. I wish we had that stuff for that whole time so that we could capture all of that. But I mean, technically could have got one of the
shoulder cams,
RPG cameras, but yeah, what are you gonna do? I do have, I think some of the earlier photos I have are from like 2005, like the Brisbane Nats in 2005, but otherwise like none prior to that. So it's a real shame, and it, because I get because
really, Malcolm,
Really? Yep.
Because it's all like film as well, you could only take like 20 photos and that was it. And like
24. Yeah. 24 or 36 exposure.
There you go. Yeah. So you were the one with the camera around your neck. Okay.
No. No, just
But that was the world in which we grew up. That was how we lived, unless you had one of the bright ass Polaroid cameras that gave off a nuclear flash and then immediately printed the thing out. And despite what Andre 3000 says, you should not shake that.
Yeah, apparently.
Not shake it like a Polaroid picture.
No.
It messes it up.
Place it down on the flat surface like a Polaroid
face
picture. Oh, ring it up. Love me the ring. It's great. It would be cool. But what were we talking about before? I was going to segue perfectly into what we're going to talk about now.
Well, we were talking about Laser Force. I think we were getting ready to segue into probably what was going to be our main topic, and then
this is better.
You can't do. We're not even on a train. We might be on a hype train today, but we're not on any other kind of train. There's no derail.
It's no train of thought.
This is more like off-roading, where you're just like, hey, let's see what's over there. Oh shit, we've got some mud.
Real quick though, just out of curiosity, the scorecards that you printed off, were they just any old scorecards, or were they like, oh, I had a good game there, I want that scorecard?
So it was a combination of there were a few where it's like that was just an amazing game, but it was also I was doing stats, so I had to print the fucking scorecards off so I could do stats, right. pre being able to just upload things, and so the reason I have so many soft copy of scorecards is because I would have to pull the scorecards and send them to myself so I could run the parser on them to get them into.
That's my favorite word.
Stuff.
Even before the parser, I remember there was that who was it, Extremes or somebody from the Oakley site that made that little Java program or whatever it was, where you
it was an access database with a nice GUI front end, as Steve-O passes out from boredom because
tell me more about this GUI front end.
Oh, fuck off. fuck off, you fucker.
That's at least a double blimey.
Yeah, you should get that scene too. Yeah, get some baby powder on that.
Yeah, the one game that I definitely remember printing off that I've definitely lost a scorecard for was so back in the day in Sacramento, we played with 4 targets, which was asinine. We're just gonna throw this out there. Asinine. There was an 8v8 Space 5 game, and I scored 18,004 points. So I printed that scorecard off.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was fun because it was one of those where I dropped 2 nukes and then stopped when I had more, let them drop their 3 or 4, and then dropped 4 more on them.
Piece of shit. We the reason I ask I can't believe you didn't get 20. We would just come out of a game, run up to the counter to Kev and just be like, "Can we please get a scorecard? Can we get a?" Oh no, that wasn't. No, this was actually definitely not Kevin, because he would have said, "What the heck is printing?" and then ignored us. It was Blair or Hurricane. Blair being, I don't know if you would have met Blair, but he was like one of the very first employees there. But yeah, either that or like Hurricane, maybe Heinrich, and there was someone else who used to work there on the regular. But yeah, like, and there would be like a handful of us would be like, "Hey, can you give us a score? Can we get a printout? Can we get a printout?" And then you end up with a stack of paper at home that there's no reason for it, because it wasn't even just Space Marines, it was every game. And most of them were like D&Ds, and a good portion of them were like 8v8 D&Ds, where the last and sometimes we play like a 20-minute D&D, so the last 6 minutes of the game is just like trading time stops. Yeah, it's the fucking worst.
Yeah, kind of gets boring at that point.
Yeah. Well, unless you're like a mage or a thief, but yeah, otherwise.
One scorecard I had, but I don't know that I have it anymore, but I remember having it specifically because for a while, Fan had the highest standard score at our site. I remember the day that I broke it and I ended up printing out that sheet. I was so proud of it. I was like, I beat Fan.
Yeah.
Well, I know that was gonna be a common occurrence, but
yeah, I was about to say, back in the day when that was actually like when that was actually difficult to do, you felt really good about it, and then you started doing it on a regular basis, and you're like, this isn't that fucking hard.
Well, we all got good. I mean, let's be honest. We're both a lot better than we were at that point. It's like it doesn't take that much skill to drop 30 whatever K on a bunch of fucking randos. So.
but at the time,
That's not
it's important for you to like celebrate that shit. Like
it felt like something though.
And I think like to kind of round this out, we as elderly players now can get a little bit cynical with celebrating some of those milestones for like newer players, because like
oh my fucking god, Malcolm.
we're doing a show. Yeah, we can get a little bit cynical about it. I think that we have to kind of check ourselves. Check your privilege, because like it's important that that newer players feel the same way in 10, 15, 20 years about the game, as we do. Otherwise,
Otherwise, it won't be here in 10 to 15 years, and that would be sad.
Love the thing. Love the thing like we love the thing. And us as people who love the thing, don't get all like, repressed.
Don't be dicks.
Yeah, don't be all like, this is my thing. You can't love it too. Share the thing. Share the love with the thing. Yeah.
Do not gatekeep the thing.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to gatekeep when I can't ever fucking play. So.
Also valid.
He's gatekeeping, but nowhere near the gate.
I don't know. I feel like I'm much more grateful for all the times that I get to play now relative to when we got to. Not that I didn't love it when we played every week, and that was really great. That was special, but the trips make a big difference now because I don't get to play
for sure.
Otherwise,
well, yeah, you have to like actively love the thing as opposed to just like taking the thing for granted. You're like, the thing's like, hey, do you want to go see a movie tonight? And you're like, no thing. Not today. I don't feel like it. Now I could be really derailing my joke. Just chill out, bro.
He is on one today.
Pay attention to me, you.
Pretty much.
Someone else is on a hype train right now.
This is I like his energy. That's Big Malcolm energy. I'd like
to Big Malcolm energy.
To channel it. This is gonna segue nicely into what we're gonna talk about now. I don't know how many people are, but I'm part of the Brisbane League Night Facebook group, which is a private group. Suckers. But I think I'm part of that still because obviously like I try and pop into the Brisbane group every now and again. A thing that popped up in the group last week caught my eye. And it seems that Brisbane potentially going through what's the best way to kind of say it? Maybe like a period of stagnation for the
doldrums. Doldrums, I call it.
Now, I'd like to preface this whole conversation by saying that this is the perspective. Oh my god!
Come on, Malco. We're trying to do a show here, baby.
Hey, Dad, can I turn this music on real loud? Click. Damn it! You can't do that to me. I'm far too on your level. Yeah. What the hell was this? Oh yeah. So I want to preface the discussion by saying that this is coming from outsiders' perspectives. So the opinions that we give, like, really have no bearing about what happens at their local center.
We take off and nuke the entire site from orbit.
So take what we talk about with a grain of salt. And also, we're not here to judge people. We're not judging what's happened or what is happening or what is yet to come. But we're just trying to like have a discussion in a semi-open forum about it, and hopefully we can shed some light on it. So it seems just based on this post that maybe attendance is is not where it used to be for Brisbane League Night. Now I don't know what that means in terms of how many people they're getting, but they're still getting enough to play lasers on a regular, which is nice.
If you get more than 12 every week, you need to shut up and stop complaining.
but
kidding.
I think I think maybe the skill gap between long-term vets and newer players is like a vast chasm these days that it's starting to manifest
Fuck.
in a really bad way.
This fucking cat. I swear to God. Anyway, skill gaps. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a post that went out that management are potentially looking at like a change to how they run Members Nights or how they run League Nights or whatever. They had 40 people last week, definitely done. What did you guys think of the post? And yeah, well, I guess we'll discuss that first and foremost.
You know, I mean, from a
Probably should have got a local on here to talk about it.
oh well, yeah.
No, I'd much rather speculate on their own internal business from afar.
Yeah, we're gonna air
Yeah,
all
it's
your
fine.
dirty laundry for you.
It's fun.
I'm practicing for ESPN.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not in the locker room, but let me tell you what I think is going on.
So any time that there's a essentially a management post where they're coming out and flat out saying, hey, we want to make this a better experience for advanced play, like that's always a good net positive place to start from.
Yeah.
Because we have so many examples of that not being the case from so many different sites over the years, that the fact that management is looking at this and being able to see, okay, yeah, we're seeing a drop off, we're seeing these challenges, we want to make it better. Okay, how can we do that? And let's get as much feedback as possible to try to make that happen. I think it shows a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? The word just went view because Malcolm just meowed at me, so gone. But the fact that they're looking for the feedback, and I think acknowledging that they as management don't necessarily have the answers themselves, because they're not necessarily on the ground with long-term experience, is also a net positive, because we've also seen instances where and this goes for any business whatsoever, where people that maybe aren't as close to the decision making or aren't as close to the actual thing make a decision from like 5 steps back that is not actually net positive for the actual thing that they're trying to do, but they think it is because of their perception from 5 steps back. So this in the initial is, I think a really nice first step.
Yeah. Given
God damn it, Malcolm.
given that, like, from what I can tell, and maybe a little bit from what I've seen when I've gone to league nights or members nights or whatever they want to call it, there's definitely a skill gap between half the player base, and by that I mean there's probably half a dozen elite to really good players, and then they're missing kind of like the next kind of tier,
mid-tier.
and then there's brand new players, or players who for one reason or another their progression in the game is happening slower or whatever it is, and it can be really frustrating for both sets of players, because for the newer players, they're getting smashed every game. They're getting yelled at because the vets are frustrated. They, maybe feel like they aren't getting the support that they need, or like, or training, or whatever it is. And then from the vets' perspective, they're frustrated because maybe for some of these players, they've been there for a while and they've tried to bring them along. They just don't really grasp the game, and that's okay. But they're frustrated with that. They're also frustrated because, say, for the top tier players, the way the randomizer works is that they are probably getting paired up with 2 or 3 like low tier or like brand new players, and so every game they're getting, they're having to, like, I don't know, carry such an immense load, if you will.
So that is something that on occasion we would deal with in Sacramento member nights, is that on the occasion we did have like a fairly big influx of new players, or at least new-ish players, and we just happen to have a balance on that night that, we have like 4 players who are super experienced, who've been playing for a long time, and then we have maybe another 8 or 10 who really are still kind of learning. And I remember there were definitely nights where I would just turn to the other advanced people and be like, we're going to play a lot of Resup tonight. Like, we're going to manually break these. We're going to be playing a lot so they can learn a little bit more of the ropes. We can give them more direction from the back line and kind of like manage the game a little bit more. And now and again, some players, Venom mostly, would complain and be like, why can't I play a 3-hit game? Why can't I play heavy? Why can't I play commander? Like, well, we'll do that, but what is the point of us going in there and just smashing on new people? Like, we need a little bit of time to season them, and like then we can get in the competition, because ultimately that's the thing that I think can build bad habits, is when you're like, yeah, sure, it's fun to have those 3-hit games on occasion where like, oh yeah, that was awesome, I got 15k, I could just 5-chant the end, I got all my missiles off in the first 2 minutes, I got 9 meta kits, like, cool, great. Is that really preparing you to play at the top levels of the game? It's not going to be that easy for you when you're at a tournament.
Yeah.
So getting that kind of just expectation in your head, they're just like I should be smashing people. Like, well, yeah, you're playing against new players. You're not going to do that when you get to a tournament. So that's not how you're going to get better. So that was kind of like one thing that struck me, is just maybe when you're in that kind of scenario, as nice as the randomizer is and as quick as it is, maybe you need to manually break some games and really start looking at what are your different tiers of players. Can we match people a little bit more closely? So and try to make better games that way, because if the games are closer, they're better, they're within a few thousand points of each other, they're going to time more often, and people aren't getting killed out constantly. That's more time people are building the maze. That's more reps they're getting. That's more they're actually learning, rather than just, oh, okay, Rusty's the opposing commander. I guess he's going to either end this in 6 minutes, or we're going to have to just get smashed for the next how long?
We actually, as you guys know, we had and this has been really good as a case study, actually, Auckland laser tag in its current form. So we had obviously our new influx of newer players come along. And they are kind of the mindset that they want to improve, but they actually came to me and were like, hey, can we ever go, because we've gone through like the stats, can we sort of maybe play some scenarios out? And I was like, 100%, I'd love that. Like, don't think about Auckland Laser Tag as somewhere that you guys don't have a voice, because I can tell you guys love this place. We love it too. Let's try and do everything we can to like make sure everyone's enjoying themselves. And if that for you guys looks like, hey, can we try these teams? You have a voice here. Like, you guys are here now. You have a voice. Like, don't let anyone tell you that your opinion doesn't matter, because it does. So so we stopped using the randomizer. We completely stopped, and actually spent probably better part of like 2 months going back to breaking teams. And usually that came back on me to do. Like, I'm the one that's been breaking teams for probably the longest in our site, but they have been having a go as well. And the games for them are far more enjoyable. Like it's important that us as vets enjoy the games that we're playing. But I'll play whatever and probably still enjoy the game. For them, matching who they feel are good matchups position wise has been massive for their development. The other thing I said to them was like, when you break teams or when you play a game, because they were looking for even teams every game, and I said, look, that's all well and good, but you don't actually necessarily want balanced teams every single game. Sometimes you want a game where you get smashed. Sometimes you want a game where your team smashes the other team. But it's important. Like, I think most of the time having balance is good, but sometimes imbalance teaches you different things. So
you just don't want to get stuck in a rut where it's like, well, these two players always match each other, because sometimes there are changes that happen, and sometimes you only notice those when you play those kind of, those side games, which is why I always like throwing a few randomizer games in there. We had a couple of members, I remember specifically, who really did not like using the randomizers. Like, it's not as fun as when we have these balanced games that you break. I'm like, well, that's kind of the point, though. Is that we do need to mix it up now and again. It doesn't have to be all the time, but some of the time.
It gives you different scenarios. It gives you like games that are going to be way more challenging than the norm, where you are on the back foot and you're put in a situation where your team has to scramble. And then there's the other ones where you as a heavy are kind of doing not a whole lot the whole game, so maybe you can work on pushing the boundaries of how far out you can be away from your resupply and that sort of stuff. So I think that's a really important thing for new players to kind of understand the concept of. The other thing as well, and here's the thing that I would say is a much more important step before this, and is I think why we're having such success with this new batch of players. They came from having played our party night for months and loving that, but wanting an additional challenge. And I think that is such a crucial step. From my understanding, Brisbane Laser Force don't have party nights, or don't have like a advanced members nights or whatever, where they play
it's like the intermediate setting.
That's right. Because they just have League Night, and League Night is where their elite players come to play against everyone. It's fun to listen to at the post office. League Night is their night where everyone comes to be as competitive as they can, and there's no feeder league. Back in the day, they used to have an A tier and a C tier. They also used to have party nights on the weekends, and as far as I'm aware, they don't have either of those things anymore.
No.
That's such
and if you don't know the numbers, that's hard, but you do have to kind of get that party night or that training night sort of back to act as a feeder, because you're absolutely right. You can't take players where it's like, oh yeah, we've played a few standard games, maybe even played standard games for a few weekends, maybe you've played them for a couple of months. There's a big difference between being like, oh yeah, I played some pickup flag football at the local park, cool, go play in the NFL right now. Like, you don't do that shit in any other arena. Like, again, not to compare us to like a professional sports league, but maybe like somebody just playing a standard game and then going up against people who have played in 20 nats, it might as well be that same kind of skill differential.
That's right. That'll help to mitigate the frustrations, because if you've got your tiered night set up, then people can just exist in the tier that they are having fun, or that they are getting enjoyment or fulfillment or whatever it is that they're looking for from their laser tag experience. That's where they can be and enjoy themselves.
It was so crucial for like my whole training process when I was 13, 14 years old, was going to like those Thursday nights where we'd play Time Warp, we'd play Highlander, we'd play the other games that kind of build the skills that you need. And then we were mostly playing Space Marines 4 leagues, which is way less complex than SM5.
Exactly
like
right.
it's cool, but it's not the same intensity of game. So it was like there was a very gradual build up. I know that there are people in our scene who have basically gone from standard games to Space Marines, and they have survived and made it through and that kind of thing. But I honestly don't know how you would do that. I don't know a path to go through other than the one that I took, which was, you learn the standard games, then you start learning the slightly more advanced games, and you play some kind of advanced team game, and then it's like we tried SM5.
Yeah.
And it was still kind of a big learning curve, even people who'd played a lot of Space Marines 4, because nobody really knew what Space Marines 5 was back in the day.
That's why it's been so like important for us to hold on to our members night as members night and not just Space Marines night. And I think that's maybe one of the distinctions that Brisbane Laser Force need to make is the difference between an advanced members night or just a members night and Space Marines 5 League Night, because SM5 is and I know that there were some comments saying it's like it's too hard, like it's too hard to understand all the rules and the nuances of the game and all that stuff, and it's really hard. It's a really hard game to like learn if you're just thrown into the deep end. And maybe that's partially why Brisbane have been so successful at competitions for so long, because they've had a large group of players who all sharpen each other, and
no question,
that's
no question,
that they're thrown into a furnace almost, and they whenever that happens, you're gonna get people who are gonna like burn or melt away, if you will.
Well, that was the other thing that struck me in reading some of the comments that you sent over. Is one that stuck out to me was talking about when leagues were pretty regular, when people were in competition. The kind of acknowledgement was, it's up to the captain to train members of your team, because there's an incentive to do that. Like on a social night, I can be as intentional as I want and be conscious and say, okay, look, I really want to try to interact with the newer players and give them some advice and give them some pointers, this and that. But you start getting tired, you lose track of things, you're worried about your own game, this and that, whatever you're doing on a social night, and 100 different things are going on. But when it's a competitive situation and you have like 2 brand new people on your team, you're like, if I don't improve their game pretty rapidly as the captain or as an advanced person on my team, like we're gonna get rolled, and I fucking hate losing. So I can tell you that from the leagues that we ran in SAC, that there were definitely, I can name at least like a half dozen players just off the top of my head where I felt like at social nights they were doing fine, they were learning some stuff, but they really weren't getting that much better. As soon as they went through a league, it's like they made a huge leap in their play, because suddenly there was an incentive for somebody to train them and be like, hey, do this, don't do this, watch this player, here's what you need to be doing at any given moment. So like that's super important thing, is you do need to have a reason. We're all human. You need a reason to train newer players, and wanting to avoid losing is as good a reason as any, because those top tier players, I know the people who are still going to Brisbane on a weekly basis, like me, are super competitive. They want to win. That is what drives them. So throw them in a competitive situation. So yeah, if you can have some miniature tournaments and leagues and stuff like that, even if they are small scale, and just, hey, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to keep these set teams. They're going to go against each other on a weekly basis. So captains, help out those new players in your team, because you're going to need them.
I think like in this particular instance, then setting some expectations is real key. So, part of the issue in Brisbane, there's been talks of like bullying or I guess bullying's the only real word for it, but people yelling at other players and stuff, and as a new player that sucks, like having some person like get shitty mid game and ream them out or something. So I think that's why like if you can set an expectation that, hey, this is like this is a competitive environment. Obviously there is like limits to what you can and can't do in terms of aggressively coaching. But yeah, there is a difference between aggressively coaching and like straight up bullying. Like bullying's never cool. So like sometimes that line, I guess, is like different for people. So there needs to be like some expectations, also, some different stuff that gets like talked about,
because some people are there just to have a good time.
That's right.
Like, not everybody is as hyper competitive, and it's definitely easier for things that you care about to put up with a little bit more intensity and occasionally let's be real, kind of shitty behavior from people. Because at first when I was reading that, I was like, bullying seems like way too strong a word for what's going on. But then I sat down and thought about it, and I'm like, No, that is what it is. Like I've seen experienced players that they get relentless
Yeah.
with new players sometimes, and it's like that does drive people away from the game. And I'm like, bullying is the only way to describe it. It's like it happens in any sport where if you're picking on people, they're just going to push back, or they're not going to want to come back because we don't have the same kind of cachet as a local football league or a basketball league or a soccer league, games that everybody knows. We're very niche. So it's like you do need to be mindful of being inviting and getting people back in there, because otherwise they aren't going to want to play. But yeah, setting that expectation is important, because there are times when people should be allowed to be as hyper competitive as possible, because that is what drives greatness in any kind of sport. So I don't know where the sweet spot is, but yeah, it's true. You don't want to run people out before they've even had a chance to actually try the thing.
I think like therein lies the importance of having those like two different like events or two nights, or like, you know, alternating weeks or whatever that looks like, where people who want advanced play but not the angst of competitiveness, where they can get what they want, and it also you know, makes it better for like the vets who want that highly competitive situation, and you know, they can have that on one night, and then they don't have to be that person on a party night or like a you know, advanced members night or whatever. And we talk,
try not to be.
Yeah. Like we've sort of like the leadership group, I guess, at Auckland Laser Force, like we really made an effort of like, this needs to be a place where people still have fun, because that's the expectation we're setting. Eventually, like if we want to get into Nats training, we'll start another night for that. Like that's another thing. This exists as what it is now, and then, you know, because we've had it the other way, and we lost members because they, you know, you have to be pretty unhinged to want to be in that environment on a regular basis, which I think maybe all of us are. But yeah, I don't know, that to me, those are some of the big things, is like, you know, having like separate nights, setting some expectations about what those nights will be like, getting your player tiers correct to make sure that like people understand where they're at, and if they want to try and like progress to higher levels, they understand what's involved in doing that and what comes with that. And then the other thing is like oh no, it's gone. There was one more thing, but I can't
that's
remember.
all right. So I mean, obviously you've got kind of the initial challenge with some of this of just numbers, just in general, and it kind of becomes a chicken and egg thing, I think, in that, you know, I think Brisbane probably stopped running party nights because they stopped getting the numbers for.
Was COVID, I think, killed it, but.
No, that would
many things.
That stopped the numbers for everything. But even before then, I think there was a fall off on it. But at this point, like if Brisbane management is committed to wanting to, you know, kind of bring, you know, Brisbane back to their glory days as far as numbers go. Yeah, get some of those party nights going on a Friday or Saturday night. Give people that opportunity to have those mid-level competitive games / let new people get introduced to things that aren't Space 5. Because yeah, I mean, I know we've you know, kind of mentioned this already, but yeah, I mean, and we've mentioned this in so many shows over the years, like stepping right into Space 5 is hard. It's a real fucking difficult game. There's no other way to put that. And yeah, DK, like you said earlier, if you step into a night where Space 5 is 90% of the night and you don't have a grounding in a bunch of other stuff, you're probably going to have a bad time. And if you, and you probably not going to want to come back because you're having that sort of bad time. So yeah, I'm very, very interested to see what the follow through is like from this. I'm really hoping that they do get the party nights restarted, and they give they give it a couple of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts at it to let it ramp back up, because I'm sure that the first couple they put on, as you're trying to republicize that this is a thing, maybe the numbers for those aren't going to be spectacular, but you've got to have a couple that are probably low numbers as you're trying to publicize it to get the more numbers in. So yeah, I'm just very, very interested to see what actions come from the words that have been put here.
And the fact that management is getting involved is, I think, a good thing, because then how many times have we had this conversation? One of the things that made Sacramento so successful at getting members, especially in the early years, but then again, there was a later resurgence, was having employees who actually care about the game and promote it, who either, they don't all have to be players themselves, but to know something about what is going on and are just able to give somebody a briefing on how you play Color Conquest or Dead Aim or some of the other games that you want to run in kind of an intermediate setting. Because those things can be pretty easy to do. I've seen it happen at like a couple of fun centers in Portland. When I was in Auckland, like watching Ruan do like everything and just telling people like how to play a game while he's still managing the front desk and people just playing zombies and stuff like that. It's fun. It's a good thing to do, because I think it would basically it only took a couple of weeks back when we were in Sacramento, a couple of weeks where it's like we were getting less than 12, or sometimes we're struggling to get 10 on a night. It's like, we need to get new people. So I would just talk to any of our members that we had who were working there at the time and said, hey, let me come in on some night on the weekend. Any of you all who want to come and help promote so we can start getting some more people in here. That's what you got to do. And it might be getting out of your comfort zone for some of the more experienced players. But I really think there's no substitute for that. You have to get back to basics so it doesn't just become a feedback loop of, well, nobody's coming in. But, well, you have to then bring some people in yourself. If that's it's like any other hobby that requires other people. You're like, well, shit, I don't know anybody who plays this game. I better go get some people.
But it also gives like, it gives that outlet for people who come to League Night and are like, whoa, this is too much for me. I'm going to go back to party nights. Like, it gives them a place. It's so important, because at the moment, you've got people who, don't have another option, that they're there to play like high-level-ish games, but they don't want the highest level games. And it seems
have the intermediate setting.
It seems that the people are butting heads about it too, and I mean, like that. You've got two or three like different expectations of what the night should be. I would imagine that for a little while, when you take that step back, I think you potentially like you really are taking a big step back from what has been there for so long. And I think for Brisbane especially, like, that's a hard thing, because they had 20 years, really. Let's say 15. They had 15 solid years of not having this be an issue, but now it is. So, if it's an issue now, you need to do things that are going to help rectify that issue, and it might change the face of what Brisbane Laser Force has been for so long. Maybe that's not a bad thing. It's just a thing.
But yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, whatever nights you want to make it where you're getting some people in, but you're not absolutely swamped. Like, you obviously can't do it Saturday during the day because you got birthday parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, on one of those nights at the end of the week, like, I think that was usually a way that we kind of tried to shore up Thursday nights, was that was supposed to be like special member night. Yeah. I don't know how well it did from a financial perspective, but it was good for like training players on new games and just learning some new stuff, where it's like, every second game is going to be this other game, and it's going to be half price. So it's like, cool. Why
Cool.
would I not go try that if I
Yeah.
can do it and it's going to cost even less money? Like, that's cool. That's a fun thing to do. It's a promotional.
Part of I think like having staff backing it as well who play usually
It's
means
huge.
well, yeah, it means that a lot of the time they either don't have to pay that staff member or they pay them a reduced rate or whatever the case is, because they're like, I want to be here for members night, and if I get to play every second game, cool. But maybe that's not the case there. I don't know. Yeah, it's stuff, man. It's interesting to see. Yeah, like you said, Dan, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of pivot, like how they kind of implement some of the stuff that their members are saying. And what I would find the most interesting is if you've got two different expectations of what that night is, what is the right choice for management to take? You know what I mean? Like, if half of the player base want it to be what it is, which is highly competitive Space Marines every game, if they change it to what the other half want, which is, you know, like an advanced members night where they play a selection of the special games that Laser Force offers, is that going to deeply upset half of the player base? Who knows? Don't know. And I don't know which is the better way to go.
Well, one of the comments in that thread does, I think, have the solution for that, in as much as if you don't have the numbers to create a second night, at least off the jump or whatever, then you set the expectation that, you know, you're going to have half of the games are going to be, you know, say set teams, whatever. Malcolm, really? And then the other half of the games will be, not Space 5, different teams, and do it that way. That's also not necessarily an ideal solution, because you're basically mindset shifting in the middle of the night or in alternating games, which can be a difficult thing.
I think that's an
sometimes.
important thing, though.
But that's probably the best way to handle that particular scenario, at least in the immediate. If you get to and then if you get the point where the party nights are doing numbers, and you can, say, okay, we're going to do party nights on, every second Saturday, and then, Monday is going to be advanced members, and Thursday is going to be,
intermediate members.
Intermediate members. Like, if you can build the numbers to get back to that, that's probably, that's probably a good long-term goal, because that's really what they had for a long period of time. So again, it'll be interesting to see how this eventuates out. I'll be very curious to talk to some actual Brisbane people in 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, after they've had a chance to start putting some of this in place, and if they're noticing any sort of difference in the immediate. Obviously we're highly biased on this channel to wanting as much good high level play at as many sites as possible. So
Make more lights go boom.
Yeah.
Did Farang, thank you so much for Did Farang, thank you so much for the gift sub, dude. Appreciate it. And Zaskid, thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, I would say that hopefully with that, hopefully the buy-in is there from the vets, because
It's gotta be.
it has to be. Like, we've actually had for a while, and this sort of contributed for the downturn of Auckland laser tag, or downturn of Auckland members night, was we tried to remix back in non-Space Marines, and a lot of the players would be like, I'm going to sit out this game. And you're like, but if you sit out, like if half of the players sit out, we can't play this game. So we might as well play Space Marines in. It's like, well, you see the problem here. Like, there has to be buy-in from everyone that, like,
it's making the short-term sacrifices for long-term health of the scene, of the game, of the member base, and that's a hard thing, because when you're used to doing this on a weekly basis as well, and you're like, this is my one time a week I get to play Space Marines, I don't want to not play Space Marines half the night. But it's like, it's hard, because we are the only people who are keeping the game going by showing up week after week. But there's got to be a recognition of, you need to bring in new people, and anytime those numbers start to drop, you got to get back to basics. I don't see any other way to do it, because you can't just change everybody's mindset instantly to be like, well, you guys need to suck it up and try harder, then you won't get yelled at so much. Like, okay, that might work for somebody who's getting a multi-million-dollar contract to play in a sports league, but ain't gonna work from people who are, just
choosing to be there,
shipping $20-$30, whatever it costs every week to go in and do this on your own time.
Like, and that looks, that the 50-50 games ratio kind of could either be, you play the first step of the night as casual and the second as Space Marines, or vice versa. That has its own problems. If you play Space Marines first, then you have people who are only there for the half the time and then go home, which is probably worse. It's probably worse than like, I'm just gonna sit out half the games. Nah, man, play everything. Play everything for the good of the player base of your site, and hopefully when people see the way that you act as people that have been there the longest, they will reciprocate by being like, okay, well, I guess we're playing the Space Marines now, I'll go in and play that instead of sitting that game out. So laser
tag that isn't Space Marines is still way preferable to having no laser tag. I know of what I speak.
All three of us have
people who have sites all the time, and I'm like, you guys don't know how good you have it until it's gone.
Until it's gone.
And like, and I can't fix anybody's mindset, because you never have that experience until you're in it. But all I can say is just, man, don't take it for granted. Just do what you can to keep the thing alive.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth your time. It's worth your time, worth your investment. Hopefully they can get it right, because Brisbane Laser Forces, that's the mothership, if you will.
It is.
It's one of those really important Space Marine sites, and I think like, if you can do what you can to kind of preserve that, but also like to preserve the enjoyment for everyone that plays at your site, because it's important. Do you guys have any final points or anything else you kind of want to get off your chest before we call it a day?
I think we've covered what's here. I mean, this is obviously a topic that's near and dear to our hearts, and we've covered in various forms over the life of the show. So I think we're in good shape, and I think Malcolm wants to be fed. So
really,
yeah,
never would have guessed.
So quiet the whole show.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I do too. So let's get out of here.
Real quick, and I'll finish it off with this. Brisbane Laser Force. Don't. I would hate to think that we come across as shitting on you guys or anything like that, but we have opinions on this because we care. But also because
I want to see you guys keep this alive. I've been like jealous / in awe of you guys for so long. And I really do believe that is why they have consistently produced some of the finest teams in the world. Is they have those consistent reps, and they did have a competitive league that was running for a long time, but they haven't had a competitive league for a little while now. So there's going to have to be a rebuilding process. Yeah, but I think it will be worth it.
Yeah, you don't want to see it go away. We don't want to see any sites go away, or because we want to play there. We want to keep coming to patronize your business. Right. This coming week, we've got a show next week, or is it the week after? The week
No,
after.
we have no we have no pod next week. We have a pod the week after.
Right. Fucking hell.
Maybe if the cats haven't destroyed
What?
the studio by then.
No show. Semi-regularly, exactly right, Tuggy. Yeah. Are we getting a pre-Loveland trip pod? Pre and post.
Yeah,
Because we're hard up for content.
the show in 2 weeks will be the pre-trip pod. The show in 3 weeks will be the post-trip pod. It's all very planned.
If you guys could get a hold of 2 GoPros, right? Play one game as the Resupply and film that game, but whilst you're playing, run a podcast. Please do that. If you could get the footage, get me the footage. I'll cut it and we'll post it because I'm so keen to hear / see that. It'll make my day.
You want to hear me and DK running a Resup together, giving each other shit the
whole game,
as we're playing.
But like also discuss some shit. Like it takes you away from the game a little bit, but see how you get on.
Yeah, maybe if we get paired in a game where we're not up against like fucking Snuffles and Kodama as he opposed to the 3 hits, so we're just getting smashed the whole game. But yeah.
Will Malcolm be returning? I mean, I don't think we have a choice in that, Snuffles. The show on 2 weeks will be Steve's announcement that he's foamed out and so now he's going. I tell you what, I have been looking. I found flights for, I think it was like 1,000 return to, no, like 1,100 return to LA, which is not that bad. Not too bad. But
LA to Denver.
Yeah, that's another like $800. Oh, that sucks. Come out. I do want to come out, and once the sponsors pony up the cash, I'll be on a plane. But but otherwise, I intend to actually have my dirty paw prints all over Nats this year, in some way or another, hopefully. So you might have these velvety tones joining you for the entirety of the tournament. We'll see.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
We'll see what happens. I'm going to try and lock down some guest commentators if that's the case. So, Al, get your annual leave prepared. Just go to Melbourne and play disc golf. Yeah, that would also be amazing. So no show this coming week. We will be on this week with some more streams. We're going to be doing another Crafty Cuts podcast. And not podcast, just show. Probably another Thunderdome. That's a hard no on your annual leave. Shit. Well, I'll do it from work then. Get yourself what you want to do? Get yourself a GoPro, right? I'm sure that'll go down really well. But yeah, we'll have some content. We'll take a break from the podcast next week, then we'll be back into things for you guys pre and post warm up trip.
Call it that.
It'll be a bit of fun. Thank you guys for the subs and the follows and the raid. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Appreciate seeing you boys. It's always nice hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. But for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been Guns Out DK.
And I've been Than with the Hungry Cats.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Ka kite anō.
I've been throwing daggers in the
feel